Hello everyone, and welcome back to another one of our videos. In this video, we're going to be installing our insulation. Doing the installation is something we could have done a long time ago, but unfortunately, we are just now getting around to doing it. We are just going to quickly go over some of the necessary steps that are needed in order to install it. So the kind of insulation we decided to go with is a very common yet effective kind of insulation called 3M Thinsulate. As you can see, we are using scissors to cut the pieces to size. Keep in mind, whatever scissors you decide to use will probably become very dull by the end of the process. Once we had a piece cut to size, we grabbed a scrap of cardboard to use for the overspray and sprayed the backs of each of the pieces of insulation. We used a spray adhesive from the same brand as the insulation itself, called 3M. It is ideal to use a spray adhesive with a low VOC, which basically means it has less of the compounds which are harmful to breathe. However, because a van is such a well-ventilated space with lots of airflow coming in and out, I don't know how much of a concern that needs to be for you.
As long as I gaze on Waterloo sunset, I am in paradise. Every day
Alright, so we are probably more than halfway done. As you can see in here, we have the whole ceiling done from under the front headliner all the way to the back. We also, you probably saw in the time lapse, we took off these panels here. We added some more sound deadening, like up here, this kill mat, and then we insulated behind them as well. And so the back doors are done. You can see big chunks of the side walls are done as well. If you come up here, you can see the spots we have remaining are up in these cavities here, also down in those cavities down below. We're not going to be insulating this section yet because we have a window we're going to put in here. Once that's in, we'll be able to insulate around it. We just cut an X. Once we put the insulation up, we just cut an X around it, so we'll be able to fold these back. And we'll probably just end up leaving these little triangle pieces here once we put the ceiling up. And then there are a couple places we are actually going to be double layering the insulation for a couple different reasons. One of the places is going to be up here at the front, or what's going to be above the headliner that we took out. And we're going to double insulate this area because these vans, in this spot in these vans, there's a lot of heat comes in from that spot. So by double insulating it, the whole van will be a little bit better insulated. We're also going to double insulate right behind here, and that's because our refrigerator is going to be here. So the better insulated that is, the less hard it's going to have to work, per se. So keeping this area cool and not keeping it from getting too hot will be really helpful. And then there's maybe a couple other places, if we have enough insulation, that we'll do. Another place we're not going to do it yet is in the doors. In the front. We're going to wait on that because we will do it, but we want to wait on it because we're going to be upgrading the speakers and taking apart those doors, and the panels from the doors is not something, from what we've seen, that seems super enjoyable. So if we can limit the number of times we have to take those doors apart, that would be good for us. What do you think?
It's been fun putting the insulation in this morning, and Ethan was saying earlier, it is actually kind of quieter when we drive around because we had to take a break and run some errands, and we didn't have to yell at each other while talking in the van.
Yeah, it is a noticeable dampening of all the sound.
Done.
Yeah.
I'm not even done with it yet, but it's helping, so that's really nice. We're just gonna get back to work and we'll show you the finished product.
millions of people swarming like flies round Waterloo underground. But Terry and Julie cross over the river, where they feel safe and sound.
In order to run the insulation through the ceiling beams, we used something called fish tape, which I believe is used mostly to run wires through walls, but it works well for this application as well. We essentially just ran it through the ceiling beam and zip tied the insulation to the end of the fish tape and pulled it back through, starting from the middle because that is where the biggest holes are to run the insulation through. We also insulated on top of the headliner in order to double insulate that area, as well as behind the fridge. Overall, this was a very simple and straightforward process. There are just a couple places we're going to be using spray foam because it would have been too difficult to get this insulation in those crevices. So that's all for this video. Thank you for watching and see you next time.